Good afternoon, all of you. Hi, it's what up? What up? I keep saying what up because damn text technology all in my brain. What up Wednesday? Welcome. And there's a lot of W's going on there. I'm Keely Dunn, and you are my favorite people because you're going to spend a little bit of time with me today. That's really nice of you. Thank you. Last week was the first What Up Wednesday, and it was kind of fun. I think it went really well, and we had some really cool conversations about a lot of things, a lot of questions that have been sent my way randomly over the last little while. And I got some more new ones and some that I didn't get to last week and all that kind of thing. And I would love to say hello to everybody who's on board. So please give me a little shout out in the comments so that I know I'm not alone. Javi Rosa Lopez, hola, good to see you. Neil, hi, good to see you. Always nice to see Mr. Ehrman in the chats there. It's been a little scrambly today. I'm not gonna, and I think I'm starting to say this every time I do a live broadcast because that's kind of life for me right now. I woke up with a migraine. I'm not sure what happened there, but it was not good, and I was really worried I was gonna have to pull the plug on this today. But medicine to the rescue. Thank you very much. 20th century inventions and chemicals. And I'm okay. I think I'm going to get through this just fine. So it's all good. Good to see you. Simon is here. I saw the Zeds, the Calgary Zeds are around. Good to see you. Liam, hi. Alistair is here. Yes, I don't have another one of your questions today, but please join in with anything that you've got. It was a great question from you last week. Caroline, hi. Rainy Edinburgh, what is happening? I saw some live footage on Facebook from people experiencing a lot of rain up in your area. So sorry to hear that. We're actually starting to finally dry out here in Calgary, but it's so beautiful. This is the greenest summer we have ever had here, and I am very grateful for the rain, to be totally honest. Peter, hi. Schwame. I don't know what language that is, but I'm going to go look that up afterwards because I like being educated. Oh, Baz, you're on the 15th tee. What are you doing? Put your phone away. Okay, you can watch this later. Okay, just finish your golf with your boys. Crispy, hi buddy. Jade, we have moved to the FHU lounge. You're absolutely right. So Jade actually popped by here in person in what he's calling the FHU lounge. Last summer, was it, Jade? I can't remember now. It's been a blur, thanks COVID. And we had a conversation here on the couch talking hockey. It was supposed to be a little quick catch up, and we were sitting here for 3 hours because hockey badgers must, badger. So there you go. You do recognize that room. Eleanor Grange, hi. Nice to see you. Nice to meet you. Hey, Whit, what are you doing? You're gearing up for exams. Yeah, you should go study, dude. I know you've been working really hard in the last, couple decades. So congratulations on everything you're achieving out there. Steven, you're back. Birthday buddy's here. Danielle Gonzalez. Hola. Good to see you, buddy. Always nice. Darren, hi. I am well now. Thank you for asking. And I hope everything's going okay for you down there in South Africa. Ian, good to see you. How do? September. Yes, Jade, it was September. Thanks for reminding me. Summer, September, yes. Mike D, Sunny Devon. You always say that. I think Mike, you're bringing the sun to Devon. That's what I think. Graham, very good day to you, sir. So now that I've said hi to a whole bunch of people, I think we could probably get started. And please do forgive me if I get a little off track. Knock on your screen and get me back because I am feeling a little wonky. David Alcock, good to see you. And James, hi, you'll try to be annoying today, but you will not succeed. I love that about you. Honestly, James is one of those people who always has tons of questions and they always force me to think. Challenge is very good, so don't apologize for that. I really appreciate everything that you bring, so don't stop. Okay. So I'm going to try to get started. I am in a different setting. I've got different hair. I've got my trusty iPad, so hopefully I'll be able to do all the splits and be able to show you all the little questions. remember, just jump in with anything that you've got. I'm not going to guarantee I can give you a coherent answer without having to think about it beforehand. One of the things I like to make sure to do is to look things up in case I'm not sure, but I do have the rules ready to go, as always, so hopefully that will help keep me on track when I need to. Hello, good to see you. Okay, let's go with the first question, and this is actually something I was trying to get to. Oh, Alistair, this is your question. I was trying to get to this last week, but I went over time. So this is what we're going to talk about. He's asking about tackling a player from behind through the legs. I've umpired with some umpires who blatantly say no, and some say it's okay as long as they don't make any contact with the player or stick, but win the ball. Can I shed light? I'll sure try. I'm interested in hearing everybody's opinions out there as well, but for me, there is no specific rule that says you can't do this. But it's a high-risk play. So the chances of you being able to sneak in there and steal a ball, this has to be a situation where a defender has dribbled into a corner and maybe they're trying to destroy, to eat up time off the clock at the end of the game, and we all hate that stuff. As an umpire, I hate watching it. It is so boring, and you have to make tic-tacky calls, and it's just not hockey. It's not on. But I understand it's a tactic that has a lot of merit. So you're usually looking at a player who has put themselves in a quite stationary position, and they are, in a sense, on the verge of obstructing with their body. So the key is, can the player attempting the tackle do so without making any contact? Like you said, Alistair, in the question, if it's done safely without any contact, we're good. And Darren, you're absolutely right. This is high risk, high reward. So if you screw it up and you trip up that player because they decide that they're going to take off and try to access a space and they go to ground, you're going to be sitting as a defender. So that's what you're watching for as an umpire. You want to be very ready with your whistle, and you might want to be proactive with your voice and say things like, hey, careful, easy, that sort of thing. That's something that I do very often when I'm watching tackles about to occur. I just like to get in the heads of the defenders and let them know that I am right there watching and I'm aware of the dangers that they might be getting themselves into. And I also want the ball carrier to know that I am right on top of this. Okay? So is there anybody that disagrees with that assessment? And what is your reasoning? If you do, let me know. But yes, I think it's okay. Let's see. Neil says, he remembers when playing it wasn't allowed. Let's see if I can get this comment onto the screen here. There we go. But he's never blown one himself unless there's been contact with the body. Yep, forcing a turnover. Yeah, so that's what we're looking at here. Is it's like with everything, it's like tackling from the wrong side. There's no rule against that. But if you do it and you mess up, it's going to be problematic. And it can be very dangerous. So assess the foul for what it is. Don't presume, don't assume, and don't get in the way of players trying to do things skillfully necessarily. So James asking, so high risk at the level of play should be impact on whether we allow it at all. Internationally seems fine, but you might want to stamp it out in your local under 15 comps. Maybe. If it results in a foul more often than not, then but you want to be ready. And what you want to teach the players is that it's not incorrect to attempt it. It's incorrect to screw it up. So I don't like preemptively blowing a whistle because that's how umpires teach players the wrong rules. I hope that, makes some sense. So there you go. Okay, I'm gonna take a sip of tea now because I really am thirsty. All right. So I think that wraps up that question. Let's see if we got something else on the board. And okay, so this is one that it was a discussion that I had with one of my friends and colleagues here in Canada over the internet because she is in Victoria. Ali Baggett is a very well known PATH media officer, woman about social media. She works for UVic and some other people, I can't remember. She is an excellent umpire. She played on the Canadian national team. And she brought a question to me that is a bit tricky. It's a bit sensitive. And it kind of ties into some of the things that are happening around the world right now. Because as women umpiring in Canada, this is something that I've definitely experienced. She's experienced, and a lot of us do. And I think it's something that you'll see is not uncommon in other areas of the world. When women are umpiring men's matches, and maybe we're umpiring matches that have players who come from other cultures, not white Western cultures, and we're worried about how to handle what we could perceive as a form of a hostility, or maybe that's rooted in some sexism and that sort of thing. How do we handle being women in that sort of setting? And I'll tell a little story about this because Baz might remember, actually, if he's still on, if he's not on the 16th tee by now, that back when I was umpiring in England, it was 2008. I'd been around for a couple seasons. I finally got my crack at an assessment on the men's panel in the National League. So it was a men's conference game I got appointed to, and it was Formby and Barford Tigers. And when the appointments came out, and it was, obviously this game was a few weeks in the future, it was like a Monday morning, and my phone started ringing off the hook, and people like Baz and Matt Harrison and all these kinds of people, good friends of mine, supporting me here over there in England. And they said, whoa, okay, so Barford Tigers, they're a team with mostly East Indian guys on it. Like, are you okay? Are you going to be okay? And it was very sweet, because I really appreciated their concern. But first of all, they should have known that I was not going to be intimidated by anything like that. But back home in Canada, this is a very common experience for us. We have lots of expats playing hockey in the country, so it's something that we get kind of normalized to. And so I got a lot of advice, and it was very nice, but nothing that I really quite needed to hear, because walking into that game, I knew what my strategy was going to be. And I decided, like I do with actually every situation, and 2 years of umpiring in England and walking into a clubhouse being the new person and being mistaken for American constantly, was something that prepared me for going into this setting, that I needed to go in with full charm, guns blazing. So I walked in with a big smile on my face. I was so excited, actually, to see these guys play hockey, because I knew they had a great reputation for being just incredibly skilled and, lots of fun with the right umpiring, and that this was going to be a nicely contested game between them and Formby. And I went in just with this, I decided to approach it with a feeling of excitement. And I made sure to introduce myself to the captains. There were some kids running around, and I, went and, said hi to them and forced my accent on them, because that's always a good time. You can always make some jokes there. And I tried to personalize myself as much as I could before we walked out on the field. And then out on the field, there were a number of things that I did that I do with any kind of environment that I feel is going to be more contentious. I'm very aware of body language, and one thing that I was doing a lot in that game, in the early going when I needed to, was when I needed to talk to a player, instead of walking up to them and being face on and like bang bang, I would I would walk up to them, and then I would turn my shoulders and I would turn to the side, and we would be side on, and I would be speaking to them over my shoulder, and I'd be saying, hey, hey, what's up? Why'd you do that? I don't need that. You don't need that. Like, let's stay on the field today. And just by changing my body language and putting myself on their side, all of a sudden I had removed this weird obstacle and this confrontational presentation. I smiled as much as I could at the right times. And, you know, I may have winked a couple times when I said something cheeky because it works, okay? Charm works. But what it meant was when I had to put my foot down and I had to express that I wasn't happy, I did, and this is something that everybody in Calgary is going to know that I do all the time, or in Canada, is I reached in my back pocket and pulled out my Mr. Potato Head angry eyes and I popped him in. I was like, hey, no, none of that. Popped him back out, and then I was like this. When you walk into a situation that you're worried about, you're concerned about, and you're expecting acrimony and confrontation or to not be treated in a way that you would expect, you tend to put on that angry officious face, and then that's your default tone. And a player is going to react to your interventions when you have that expression and say, oh, well, they're just angry all the time. I don't have to pay attention. But if you've been personable and charming and shown variety, it's just like with whistle variation. If you're at one tone the whole time, you get screened out. You're just crying wolf. So I had that ability to switch tones. And you know what? I'm not going to lie, I had a good game. I was really happy with how it went. And by the end of the game, the Barford team was so happy. They had the best teas ever. That curry was amazing. And they said, we can't wait to have you back. And I said, I can't wait to come back. This is a great setup. You guys have been great. The hockey was fantastic. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And so this is the way that you can set yourself up for success. And I'm not one of those people who's big into like the self-help guru, you know, like, let's be positive. I hate that Instagram inspiration stuff. But there's something to be said for going in with a mindset of, hey, this is a great opportunity and I've got the tools. I have a plan. I'm going to use my body language. I'm going to smile. I'm going to use variety in my facial expressions. I'm going to appreciate what's going to be out there, and I'm going to make sure that I give these players their best opportunity to play their best game today. And you set out like that, and you're going to, I think, give yourself a chance to actually perform that way. So I hope that's a good tip for you. So James, you're very welcome. He really liked that body positioning thing. It's something that I've experimented with over the years, and I found that it works. It works really well with male players. I've done some reading on, you know, gender differences, and you know, I'm not super psyched about all that stuff, but I found that getting side by side, like you're driving in a car, you're sitting on a park bench, and you're on this journey together, really is a different approach that men aren't used to. They're used to very, very much this front up, and that gets their confrontational, you know, backs up right away. And they're like, but you sidle up to them, and they're kind of like, oh, hi. Oh, hi. So anything that disarms and changes the vibe a little bit, super effective. So there you go. Peter is telling us that he never played. He took up umpiring because he deemed it too dangerous, and I hope he means that he thought playing was too dangerous. You're not wrong, Peter. It is really, really dangerous. Simon, you're so hectic. You can catch these up later. Absolutely, you can. So, unfortunately, I don't edit them. I wish I could, but once I've pressed that end broadcast button, it just goes up to Facebook Live, and I can't edit out any of my mistakes. It's very scary. Okay, so if nobody has any comments on that, I'll move on to the next question from our good friend Matt Bullen. Okay, this is really fun. I like it when people ask me questions. Why? Why is a rule like this? So let's go. That didn't work. This worked. Okay, so what Matt was asking me, why is it that in two different scenarios, goalkeepers have to start in two different places. So on the penalty corner, as we see in this, the goalkeeper has to start behind the back line, okay, with all the other defenders before the ball is injected. We all know this, no surprise. And then he says, but why is it that on a penalty stroke, the goalkeeper can start on the goal line? Why behind and then on the goal line, which we all know actually means that the goalkeeper is standing with their feet in front and their back heels touching the goal line. Why? I love why questions. Okay, here it is. I'm going to scroll down to this so that I can see a bit better. Oh, I hope I didn't. Okay, right. There's logic behind this. Okay, first of all, the penalty corner is a flying defensive start thing. Okay, the ball gets injected and everybody can go. So that's very different from defending a penalty stroke where you're in a stationary position and it's not like you're going to rush the ball. I mean, if you can rush the ball on a penalty stroke, you are in the wrong sport. And in fact, you're in the wrong field. You should be a superhero because the world really needs one right now. Flash Gordon, get out there. So it's very different from where you're starting. But on a penalty corner, imagine if an umpire would have to keep track of a goalkeeper in front, leaning forward, their heels not touching the goal line, but in line. But what if they keep leaning forward and then they have to watch the defenders? Ugh, it's a lot easier to keep everybody in one place. But the biggest reason is this, okay? Yes, John. Okay, I'm going to put your comment on because this is the one. Because if the stroke hits the goalkeeper and the goalkeeper starts behind the line, it's a goal. I mean, not necessarily. The goalkeeper could kind of be, over and that sort of thing. But if you think of the toes, and if a goalkeeper is straight up and down, standing straight up and down, and they're not breaking their own plane at all, the ball has crossed the line. Maybe not entirely, but do you want to have to make that decision? Hell no. So the goalkeeper starts in front. John, well done. I am going to give you a like live on the broadcast because you nailed it, and I love that kind of stuff. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Remember, pepper me with your live questions. If you have anything at all, I am in. But I think everybody likes just to sit back to see if I get anything wrong. It's not going to happen. Okay, maybe it is. All right. So here's another strategy question, and this is a tough one. Let me get my iPad back out, especially if the keeper has large feet. You're absolutely right. Okay. So this was an anonymous question that came in through my website, and they said, I do not want a response to my question or comment. No thanks. I'm just kidding. I'm sure they actually did, but they just didn't want to put an email address onto it. So the question is, in grassroots hockey, you may not have a partner umpires able to keep up or be in the right place to help. How best to manage this so we are able to provide a consistent experience for the players at both ends of the pitch? All right. Now, this question can go to a lot of aspects of working with a colleague, okay? You might be working with somebody who perhaps is carrying an injury, somebody who's not as fit, perhaps, as they optimally should be, someone who's less experienced, someone who is having a really bad day. There are a lot of things that can come into creating a disparity between the levels of umpires, and trust me, this happens at every single level of play. This isn't just grassroots, this is everywhere. And I can tell you a little story quickly that I actually have shared this with Soledad Apirigili because we were talking when we were umpire managing together in Cochabamba, and I said, Soledad, did you know that at the 2005 Junior World Cup, I cried for 3 days after our game together? We did, I think it was India versus Germany. And there was, the whole game, I wasn't very good. I will absolutely admit that. But at one particular point, I remember the play being in front of me on my sideline, and there's Soledad over there. And a player comes in for a tackle, and now I recognize it as it was definitely a reckless tackle. And I blew my whistle, and Soledad from the other side of the field, she went boom, boom, no. She was like really she did a solid ed. And I was so startled that she had intervened on something that I didn't pick up on as needing anything at all, that it just absolutely threw me, and I was destroyed for days. So Solid thinks that's really cute, and so keep in mind, folks, that it happens at all levels. And there we go. I'm going to turn off notifications. Live. It's great. Okay, so discrepancies in skill and experience, mobility, all the time happen. And here are my tips to go on that. James, I'll get to your question in a second. So the first thing that you need to realize is that you must take care of number one, and you must take care of yourself. Your circle and everything that happens in there is absolutely your responsibility, and you have to do everything in your power to get it right, and you do not sacrifice that to help out in the midfield or to help out in your other umpire circle if you cannot without sacrificing your own circle. Okay, mission critical. You triage this, and that is what you take care of first. Now, if you can help out more in the midfield, great. If you are mobile enough and experienced enough that you can come down a bit more and help, okay. But always focus on your own job, because at the end of the day, that's why the teams switch at halftime, because they both get one half with you, and that is how we keep things consistent. Obviously, we talked last week about a pregame talk and how important that is, and that is obviously something that would, help you out. Hey, where are you going to come up and support? Can you come up this high? No? Okay, so this is what I'd ask for you to do. If you see something, this is what you'll do. This is how I'm going to adjust. So if I'm working with a colleague who isn't as mobile or comfortable coming up as high, and I'm worried about stuff that's happening on the other side of my circle. So let me bring this up. Live stuff. This is going to be fun. Markup. Okay, so if I'm here, and that's not going to work. Okay, so I'm just going to move this. I'll do this on this side. Okay, so if I'm over here, and there's a massive play over here, and you've got big goalkeeper blocking, and you can't even see. I don't even know if that makes any sense. But ordinarily, this is a good time for your supporting umpire to have moved down the pitch and to have the vision here and to be helping you so that you're not exposed. The alternative to this approach would be to use what I would call the flashing style positioning. So instead of relying on your colleague to come and help you from wherever they are, if they're there, if they're here, whatever the case might be, is that you flash up to more the midline of the circle, and then you look down here. You could be coming up to the penalty stroke mark, you could be coming up a little higher. You're inside the circle and looking down on the play. Okay, so that's one way you can accommodate a colleague that maybe you can't rely on to help you with all this mess-a-rooney over here. So that's one way to do it. Another thing to think about is, again, oops, that's not helping at all. Ha, got it. Okay. The reason that I really want you to focus on your own circle is that we can overburden ourselves with trying to look after our colleague. And let's face it, even if we think that we are the best, most mobile, most experienced umpire out there, we still aren't in the best position to see what's happening in our colleague's area of responsibility. You're going to get some of those calls wrong. So only intervene when it's critical, whether something is dangerous or it's leading to a scoring opportunity. It's essential for control and for trust. That's when you intervene. Otherwise, let your colleague do their thing. And trusting them to look after themselves, because even a more mobile colleague is probably has some years behind them. They have experience, they know what their limitations are, and they're accustomed to working around them. So trust in that. Okay. Let's see if I have any other points that I want to. Okay. Yeah, that was probably it. So now I'm going to bring in James's question here. Okay. What if we are that co-umpire? Relatedly, will be watching my positioning seminar and wants to know how that's going to affect fitness. Okay. Now, I talked about this sort of, this colleague situation from the standpoint of often being a more experienced senior colleague, and that's a position I've been in. But hey, guys, I have been a junior umpire. I've also recently had both my knees replaced and gone back out on the pitch and been, I would say, quite stationary in my positioning. Not at all the kind of full expression of my movement that I am accustomed to. And it was, oh boy, what an adjustment. But I think, again, that with my experience, I was able to accommodate. But one of the things that I did before the match started is I went, and again, these were friendlies, okay? I'm not putting real matches in danger. These were like practice matches at the university. And I went to my colleague and I said, okay, dude, note to you, I am not going to be moving very much. I am not going to be running very fast. This is where I'm going to come. I'm going to be inside the pitch. More often than not, I'm going to be looking out if you can help me in this area and that over there, and I am absolutely not going to be helping you in your circle. You're on your own. And they were like, cool. So they knew, they were prepared, that they could mentally plan for that. We were using radios, so that made it a lot easier as well, because I'd say things like, hey, can you take that breakaway for me? As the ball is flying away from me up my sideline, which should be my responsibility. But I was letting my colleague know, dude, I don't have vision on this and I'm not going to catch it. So can you get more inside the pitch, look across and handle that until I can, limp and amble my way up closer to the play. So having that preparatory discussion is really, really helpful. You've got to be self-aware. You got to know what your limitations are. Don't pretend you're a fully healed, spring chicken out there if you're carrying an injury. If you're carrying an injury that's going to stop you from doing the job that you need to do in a competitive game, don't do the game. It's not fair to the players. Be aware of what you can do. Try it, push your limits, understand it, and communicate with your colleague as to what you can help, what they can help you with. So there you go. You're not going to feel bad about your fitness, James. Don't you worry. One of the things that I'm really excited about with this positioning webinar that I'm doing next week, and let me just, is it next week? Yeah, it's the 29th. My goodness. So it's a good time to bring this up. Great. Positioning for the modern umpire. And I've subtitled it Dr. Seuss, the places you will go. I'm going to be talking about the new positioning, which has been around for a few years. But one of the things that I love about this style is that I think it's actually lazier. I don't have to run as much. And I've been experimenting with this really diligently for the last at least 4 seasons. So before I started teaching it to other umpires, I took it and I pushed it to an extreme, and I was doing high school games and my local league games and just playing around with the limitations and how far could I go with this new style. And I'm telling you, I ran a lot less, and I love being lazy. So it was like, oh yay, I don't have to be as fit as I used to be to do this new stuff and still be able to make big decisions, great decisions, have great control, and the way that the pitch opens up to you vision-wise is just amazing. So if you haven't signed up for this webinar yet, go to FHumpires.com/webinar and give it a shot. It is a paid one because I'm putting a lot of work into this. It's just $20, and if you are a FHU 3T green or yellow member, you're going to get a discount on it. So I hope that's cool. If you'd really, really love to do this and you absolutely do not have the funds to support that, just send me an email, okay? I'm a reasonable person, and I'm here to help. So I hope that you can join me. It'd be really fun to see you. Let's see. Let me just pull this off the screen. Oh, that's what I meant to do. There you go. Peter, I absolutely feel you there. Wrong side of 60. There is no wrong side of 60. If you're on a side of 60, you're doing life right, okay? First of all. And I know what it's like to start slowing down. And when I was younger, I used to fly through my fitness tests. And even though I wasn't a fast runner, I was fit and loved to run a lot. And I now appreciate when I don't have to run quite so much. So I get what you're doing, but there are ways to accommodate. There are ways to support yourself and still be able to do a great job on a lot of games. So think about that. Darren, yes, it will be. Yes, the new positioning opens up the field in ways that you hadn't thought of, and so it's super mind blowing. I really hope you can have a look on that. And Darren, I'd be happy to talk to you about all this aside as well, because I know you do a lot of teaching and training. Neil just asking how the knee replacements are doing. So I have Neil in the left knee, and Jenny is in the right, and Neil is the eldest, and Jenny is the younger one. April and October 1st. April 16th, October 1st were the 2 dates. And yeah, they're actually not doing great. Still making my way through lots of exercises, and I'm actually looking into why they haven't responded as well as they want. So I occasionally put things up on my personal Instagram or Facebook about that. So if you're curious, you can go over there and have a look. But still fighting a good fight. And I'm aiming actually to try to get into good enough shape that I can play in the if I were to make the team, the Masters World Cup next year, September in Cape Town. So that's my stretch goal. And I hope I can get there, because I'd like to be on the other side in a bigger competition like that. And I think it would be a lot of fun. And I would like to be that player on the pitch that the umpires are happy to see. Is that how it works? Not sure. Okay, let's get on to another question. And okay, this was from Andy Hadley. I think he probably wanted to add more to this question, and then I tried to find him so I could follow up and get the rest of the question from him, and I failed to find him on Instagram, but it's okay. His question: can defenders touch, hold, push themselves off? And I mean, practically or technically, we know that they can't, because 9.3, 9.4 both say that you can't. You can't touch, handle, interfere with a player's stick or their clothing. You can't intimidate or impede another player. Now, that being said, when I was a competitive player, that was the only way I could compete. If Brenda Leonard is still out there in the world, she played left wing for Canada and for the UVic Vikes, and I had to defend her for 5 years of university competition and other years of Alberta versus BC games, and she was a far superior player to me, and the only thing I could do was to bump her and jostle her and talk to her sometimes. I was, a bit of a trash talker. And I'd be like, man, it's such a shame, because you should be getting the ball more than you are. Like, maybe you're just, I don't know, maybe your teammates don't like you. I was the worst. This was all I had, because she was fast, she was skilled, she was a Team Canada member, and all I could do was just try to throw her off as much as possible. And I knew when I could get away with it, because I knew where the umpires were focusing their attention. And this was why, at the age of 29, I was approached at a national championship where I had, been up to all my old tricks. And I got approached by an umpiring leader who said, yeah, you're a ridiculously good cheat. We need you to start umpiring, because poacher turned gamekeeper. And I was like, that seems dumb. I don't think I want to do that. Umpires wear terrible clothes. And eventually, they dangled an international trip in front of me, and I said, okay, fine, I'll try it. And the rest is history. Now I am obsessed with umpiring. So there you go. Neil is wondering if maybe this is relating to the post backboard while defending APC. Let me bring your comment up here, Neil. Yeah, maybe that is what he's talking about. And yeah, there's no rule that says that they can't use the goal as a bolster or block, that they can't put their hands on the post. They can't. There's nothing wrong with that. They sure better not push the net down because then we've got some potential time wasting issues that you might have to deal with as an umpire, but that would be it. Neil, does that make sense to you? I think that's probably the right answer there. All right. So that, my friends, how did I do? 40 minutes? Yes, I'm getting better at this. That is all the questions that I wanted to try to address this week. Is if there's anything from you guys, throw it at me right now, because I'm going to a friend's son's birthday barbecue in about an hour, and it's outside. It's going to be physically distanced. I'm taking a mask. I'm taking all my own food, beverage, and all that sort of thing, but I'm really excited about being able to hang out with my friends a little bit in a quiet setting. I don't know how things are going for you guys in all your various areas. I've been watching, thanks Neil, I've been watching the news again, and we're actually having a bit of an outbreak here. We're having an outbreak here in Calgary because bars, restaurants, and gyms reopened, and they're finding out that was not a good idea. So we're having problems there. I hope in your areas that you're doing better with flattening that curve. This thing is going to be with us for a while, and we've got to be careful. So please, trust the scientists, trust the advisors, know that they're going to change their advice from time to time because they're learning just like we all are about what the best approaches are. It doesn't mean that they're wrong, doesn't mean that they're assholes. It means that they're doing their best, and this is how science works. So trust them, follow them, stay safe, and when you're returning back to hockey, be careful, be cautious, because if we do this right, we'll all be able to get back on the field a lot sooner. So that's my missive to all of you. You're very welcome. Everybody saying thank you. Oh, Andy, there you are. Oh, you must have sent me a Facebook message and then I couldn't find you. Andy, I hope I addressed your question properly with that. And oh, hi, Rowan. Good to see you. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today on the What Up Wednesday. And remember, if you have a question, I would absolutely love to tackle it. These little trivia things are great. The skill things, the soft skills, approaches, techniques. I'd love to talk more about those things, practices that I've picked up over the years, and share them with you and hear your input onto ways that we can all get better when we get back onto the pitch. Great to see all of you. Rob, the replay will be up as soon as I hit the button to end the broadcast so you can get back and see all the fun things that we talked about earlier. Mike D, bye to you all. Let's see. Oh, there's something I want to see. Darren, absolutely. Get in touch. And all of you, remember, I am very accessible, all on the socials. You just go ahead and hit me up with your comments, your suggestions of things I can do better on these broadcasts. I'd love to hear them. But in the meantime, as you're getting back to hockey and as you're getting back to seeing friends and family, stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Ciao for now.